Hey, and welcome back to Lucid Equity, where we turn the confusing parts of money into one clear, simple move. The average American household is a millionaire, net worth $1.06 million. That is a real number from the Federal Reserve, and it is one of the most misleading statistics in all of personal finance, because that single number gets quoted in headlines constantly, and it quietly makes millions of people feel like they are failing at something they are actually doing fine at. So let's take it apart properly. Because in that very same study, the median American household, the one sitting exactly in the middle, is worth $192,700. Same country, same year, same survey, a gap of more than 5 times. So which number is you? Today we're going through net worth by age, honestly. What's real, what's inflated, and where you actually stand. And I want to be upfront about something before we start, because it matters more than any number on this list. These figures describe households, not individuals, and they include absolutely everything. The home, the retirement accounts, the paid-off car. Keep that in mind when you compare yourself, because most people mentally compare only their bank account. Here's why those two numbers disagree so violently. An average adds everyone up and divides. So if you put 9 ordinary people and 1 billionaire in a room, the average person in that room is a multimillionaire, and every single ordinary person in it feels poor. That's not a math trick. That is exactly what's happening. In the Federal Reserve's data, the top 10% of households hold 66.9% of all household wealth, 2/3 of everything, held by 1/10 of the people. And this is not a small distortion. It is the single biggest reason personal finance statistics feel so disconnected from real life. The average is being pulled upward by a tiny group of extraordinarily wealthy households, while the typical family sits far, far below it. So here's the rule for the rest of this video, and honestly for the rest of your financial life. When someone quotes an average net worth, they are describing a room that has billionaires in it. When they quote the median, they are describing your neighbor. The median is the honest number, and that's the one we're using today. And before the numbers, let's define the thing, because most people get this wrong. Net worth is everything you own, minus everything you owe. Your home, your retirement accounts, your savings, your car, minus your mortgage, your student loans, and your credit cards. It is not your salary. You can earn $200,000 a year and have a negative net worth, and you can earn $50,000 and be comfortably positive. Here's the simplest way to picture it. If you own a home worth $400,000, but you still owe $300,000 on the mortgage, that house contributes $100,000 to your net worth, not 400. Debt is not a footnote in this calculation. It is half of the entire equation. Let's start where most people are honestly a little terrified to look. Under 35. Median net worth, $39,000. And when people see that, the reaction is usually relief and then suspicion. But it makes complete sense. This is the decade of student loans, first cars, security deposits, and salaries that simply haven't compounded yet. A lot of people in this bracket have a negative net worth, and that is normal, not failure. What matters at this age isn't the number, it's the direction. And there's a structural reason this number is so low. Almost nobody in this bracket has had enough time for compounding to do anything meaningful yet. Compounding is brutally slow at the start and violently fast at the end, and the under 35 group is living entirely inside the slow part. If you are here and the number feels discouraging, understand that you are looking at the flattest section of a curve that gets much steeper later. Next, 35 to 44. This is where the curve starts to bend. Median net worth, $135,600. That's roughly 3.5 times the under 35 number in just one decade. Two things drive it. Home equity starts building, and retirement accounts finally have enough time behind them to compound. This is the decade where the boring, automatic decisions you made earlier quietly start paying you back. And notice how much faster that growth is than anything you could achieve by budgeting alone. Going from $39,000 to $135,000 is not a story about cutting subscriptions. It's a story about assets, a home paying down, and a retirement account that finally has real money inside it earning returns on its own. 45 to 54. Peak earning years, and the bracket that exposes the average better than any other. Median net worth, $247,200. But watch this. In this very same bracket, the average is about $971,000. The average is nearly 4 times the median. That one comparison tells you everything about how wealth is distributed in this country. A small number of very wealthy households in this age group drag the average into a completely different universe. And I want you to sit with that for a second, because it's the most important comparison in this entire video. If you were in this age group and you measured yourself against the average 971,000, you would conclude you are catastrophically behind. Measured against the median 247,000, you might be perfectly on track. Same person, same year, two completely different verdicts, decided entirely by which statistics somebody chose to print. 55 to 64, the final stretch before retirement. Median net worth, $364,500. This is usually the last decade of heavy accumulation. Mortgages get paid down, kids get less expensive, and contributions often go up. It's also the decade where the gap between the people who started early and the people who didn't becomes almost impossible to close by effort alone. There's also a hidden factor here that the raw number doesn't show. By this stage, the biggest driver is usually no longer how much you contribute. It's how much has already accumulated and is compounding on its own. Your existing balance starts doing more work each year than your new contributions do. That's the crossover point everyone is chasing. 65 to 74, the peak. Median net worth, $409,900. This is the highest of any age group in the country. Decades of compounding, plus a home that is often fully or nearly paid off. If there is one chart in this video worth screenshotting, it is this one, because it shows that wealth in America is built slowly and mostly late. It also quietly answers a question a lot of younger viewers ask, which is whether it's too late. Look at the shape of this data. The largest gains in absolute dollars happen in the final 2 decades, not the first 2. Starting early matters enormously, but arriving late is not the same thing as arriving never. And then, 75 and older, $335,600. It goes down. And that is not a failure either. That is the plan working. Retirement is the part where you spend the money you spent 40 years accumulating. A declining net worth in your late 70s is a portfolio doing exactly its job. And this is where a lot of people misread the charts entirely. They see the decline and assume something went wrong. Nothing went wrong. Wealth is not supposed to be a number you protect until you die. It's supposed to be converted, eventually, into the life it was built for. Now, the part that almost nobody tells you. These are the most current official numbers available, and they are from 2022. The Federal Reserve only runs this survey every 3 years. The next set, collected in 2025, isn't expected to be published until late 2026. So every article you have seen titled Average Net Worth in 2026 is quoting 2022 data, including this one. I would rather tell you that plainly than pretend I have numbers that nobody has yet. And there is one more honest caveat worth adding. Because these numbers are from 2022, they do not fully capture what has happened to home prices, interest rates, or inflation since then. The direction and the shape of this data are reliable. The exact dollar figures should be treated as a snapshot of a moment that has already passed. So what should you actually do with these numbers? 3 things. 1. Use them as a thermometer, not a scoreboard. They tell you the temperature of the country, not the worth of your life. 2. Compare yourself to your own number from last year, because that is the only comparison you actually control. And 3. Remember that every single one of these medians was built by ordinary people making automatic, unglamorous decisions for decades, not by picking a winning stock. And if you want one concrete action from this whole video, it's this. Sit down tonight, list everything you own, list everything you owe, and subtract. That single number, written down and revisited once a year, will teach you more about your financial life than any national average ever will. Here's the whole thing in one line. The average makes you feel behind. The median tells you the truth. You are not competing with a billionaire's portfolio. You are competing with your own last year. If this made the numbers finally make sense, subscribe. One confusing money topic made simple every single week. And tell me in the comments, which age bracket are you in, and did the number surprise you? This video is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. All figures come from the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances, 2022, the most recent data available. Your own situation will differ. Do your own research or talk to a licensed professional. So if this helped, do 3 quick things. Hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to see where they really stand, and subscribe for a new money breakdown every single week.